As technology continues to improve and advance, we're seeing more and more new products coming out of China to the United States for emulation and retro gaming. One of these latest products is the Powkiddy A9 retro game console, which is portable and has a 7-inch screen and is also priced under $60, free shipping included. So today's video, we're going to unbox this, test out the emulation, and see just how good this is and if it's worth your money right after this. Okay, so what we get in the box is the unit itself. Here is the 7-inch Powkiddy A9. On the front we have 6 action buttons, an A, B, Y, X, and an L and R. We've got our select, we've got our start, we've got our volume up and down, and then we've got a return, aka back button, and then we've got the joystick. The joystick itself is very loose, very wiggly. I mean it's not ideal, but it does the job in a pinch. It gives you full 360 range of motion. There is no restriction gates under there, but this is almost identical to the same kind of joysticks we've seen on similar releases. For I think there's like a 4.3-inch version of this that has different internal processing power, but roughly the same design. You'll recognize that joystick that is on this Powkiddy is also similar as what is being used on the Neo Geo mini arcades as well. It's that same kind of joystick design, same kind of just okay buttons. There's no like micro switches underneath. They're just push buttons. Nothing really fancy, but for the price point, what do you expect? Around back, we have a dedicated speaker center in the back of the screen, and then we have an HDMI mini out. We've got 2 USB ports. These are for the included USB controllers. I've tried to plug various different controllers into these USB ports to see if I could get other things recognized, like an Xbox One controller, PlayStation 4, or like a Retrobit Sega Classic controller. None of them were recognized, so you are relegated to using the included controllers. The included controllers themselves are roughly about the same size as a Nintendo Switch Joy-Con. Fit relatively well in the palm of your hand. The only thing I have negative to say about these controllers is that their design with a very flat top makes me wish the L and R buttons were on the top here, because I naturally just find myself pushing down here thinking there's a button when there's clearly not. But other than that, the controllers come in this clear kind of casing to where you can kind of see the internal workings, but overall the D-pad works well enough. The buttons, while they're not super clicky, they're on par with what you would expect from old NES controllers type of thing. Nothing super impressive here, but it does the job. Also around the back, we have our 3.5mm audio out. We have our expansion slot, so this is the included 3,000 games come on a micro SD card in here. You can easily pop this out and remove some of the games, add some of your own games, do all sorts of customization just by simply taking that SD card in and out and then plugging it into the system. Then of course we have our DC power and then our power ourselves. So we'll go ahead and power it on. You can charge this unit and play it unplugged from the wall for up to 5 to 8 hours. They claim. I've personally found closer to 3 hours, but that's just me. I assume that really depends on the type of games and emulators you're playing. As far as the menu, it looks a little different than some of the Chinese retro consoles that I've seen and tested before, but overall I'm okay with it. It's very simple and easy to use, navigate. Games, movie, music. If you want to add movies or music to it, you can change your theme. It's really only got 3 different background options. Very simple to change those. Settings. So we'll go to our language settings. Got various different languages. English is spelled wrong, but that's to be expected. Game display. You can go equal proportion, full screen, so those are really only 2 aspect ratio settings. Gamepad, so this is where you set which player configuration you want your gamepad, if you want player 1 through 4. I've got mine currently set to player 2. Timeout, connection mode, do you want it connected to a computer, clear the records, restore the system back to its default settings, system info, which tells you the model and the version number. But it's a very straightforward folder structure. Brightness, screen brightness, Got it all the way up. 4 settings, history. This will tell you the last couple of games you've played. And then file. This will show you all the various files in the SD card itself. As far as games, we can navigate. We've got CPS arcade games, Final Burn Alpha, Famicom, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Gear and Master System, Mega Drive or Genesis, Neo Geo, Other, PlayStation, and Super Nintendo, aka Super Famicom system. Okay, so here we have the main menu, like we said earlier, but there's also some pre-saved favorites on this next couple of slides. So you've got a couple of titles. We've got some weird names for them, especially. So 3-Men Fight, obviously that's Streets of Rage. This is Streets of Rage 1 for Sega. PlayStation 1 Tekken, this is Tekken 3. Aero Fighters, even though it says Sonic Wings Special, I think. PS1 Double Dragon, this is a terrible game, by the way. Street Fighter, it's got like some random graphics on here. So it's really just a hodgepodge of random arcade titles and then some other titles. I think there's a couple of Game Boy games in here like Pokemon. Punishing, obviously this is the Punisher arcade. But all these games are also in the listing in the files folders for the various systems. I don't know why these are on here, but I guess they just figured these are a couple of the favorite games that people would like to play. So let's go ahead and just play Tekken since it's right here and it's easy and we can see how the PlayStation 1 performance kind of looks. This is actually Tekken 3, not Tekken 1. So go to arcade mode and we will just go Yoshimitsu real quick and we'll just do a quick fight. Again, playing on the included little joypad. We've got 6 buttons here. D-pad. Not ideal for fighting games, but it works. Make quick work of King here. Ready. Look at that. It's one of the things I didn't like about Tekken is like people could really spam one move over and over and over again and have great success with it. Other than that, it's a really good fighting franchise, but it plays well to button mashers, so let's put it that way. You can call that a pro or con. Oh, he got a kick in. There we go. As I'm not even looking at the camera, but oh, I'm just getting beat because I'm hitting the L and R buttons thinking they're gonna do something. That was sweet. I got to give it to King on that one. That sweet spinning DDT finish. I'm talking smack on it being way too easy to play. Then here I am just getting trounced. There we go. Give it around. Oh, and he gets me out of sleep. And I'm gonna get smoked. There we go. And that close game. Couple jabs. That'll do. Simply to back out of this game, I'm going to hit the back button on the console itself. There is no back button on the joypads. And we'll check out some other games. Hit L and R on the joypad. Cycles through the pages for easy access. I'm going to go to the game. I'll show you some of the quirks I've noticed about these 3,000 preloaded games. So here we've got the file folders. I already mentioned it earlier. One thing you'll notice is, hey, these are all in English. That's great. That's exactly what I'd want. I can blaze through it again with the L and R and go page up, page down. If I want to hit back, Final Burn Alpha. Also, games are abbreviated in English. That's exactly what I would expect. Famicom, aka NES. Let's go into those. Oh, wait, all the games are in Chinese. Like all of them. There's 71 pages, as you can tell. Hundreds of games, which is awesome that they're all on here. But I don't know what any of these games are because they're in Chinese. I've already went into the settings menu and I've changed my language setting to English, but the games, the files themselves are still named in Chinese caricatures. Couldn't spit that out. So unfortunately, I don't know what any of these game titles are. I'm just going to randomly pick one and show you that it works just fine. But I mean, the game titles are in Chinese. Some of the games themselves are in Chinese. Some aren't. But what is this? Jaws? I don't even know what this game is. Reminds me of Jaws. Back out on the arcade itself. And the same goes, unfortunately, for the other systems. So we got Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color. One thing I did notice that like a couple of the games are in English at the bottom. It's really like only a small handful on some of these consoles. Most of them aren't, though. Again, all the titles or not in English, which is unfortunate. And I don't know if that's just a whoopsie. Maybe they sent me the wrong SD card. They didn't, you know, somebody didn't check a box and realize this was coming to an American address. So it was typically going to probably want to be in an English speaking household. But it's just annoying because, like, I know the games are there. I don't know how to find them. So yeah, there's a couple of them are in English, like Gun Hero, Raiden, Sonic Hedge. All right, I couldn't take it anymore. I went through the file system. I got rid of all those Chinese labeled titled games, and I put in my own English ROMs. So I'm going to go ahead and play some of those for you, as well as I also added some PlayStation 1 titles to really further showcase just how well this console handles some of the PlayStation 1 emulation. So let's go ahead and play those. And as you can see here, I went through and I relabeled my folders, named them much easier things for me to recognize instead of the shortcut abbreviations that were originally stock on this folder. Like I said, super simple to add and remove your own games, things like that. It's very simple, drag and drop folder renaming, things of that nature. Very simple if you've ever used a Windows PC. Piece of cake. Nothing really to it. Not even going to go over it in detail, but labeled it. Go into my PlayStation folder. Here I've got a couple of games to test out. NFL Blitz. Go ahead and get that running. Yes, it does work. Works well. Very excited to have that because now I've got a portable arcade console that I can have unplugged and with 2 controllers and bring over to a friend and challenge them to a game of Blitz. Very, very handy, very cool little feature. If I can get to this start menu. There we go. It's the downside about all these midway games is you gotta go through 10 screens just to get a game going. But they're all amazing to play and fun. Alright, let's find my Kansas City Chiefs. They were definitely not the best back then, but we had Tony Gonzalez back here. Back in the day when this was like 1999, I think is when this game came out. First them Cowboys, them boys. Totally gonna get smoked on here. I'll be happy if I get a first down, but we'll see how it goes. I get the ball first, that's handy. Oop. Oh, yeah. That was not good. I pitched the ball on the... good night. Great way to start a game. Great way to start a game. Pitching the ball back and just... Yeah, of course he's going to get a touchdown. It's like the easiest gimme play in the world. They're on the, like, half-yard line. Kick was good. Of course it was. Alright. Let's not pitch the ball back this time. Does look like there was a little bit of stutter in there. Overall, the game appears to be running smoothly. Tony G, 18-yard pass. Good. That's what I like to see. Alright, let's go up here and test some Road Rash. I don't know why it's duplicating some of the file names. As you can see there, I put them on there, but it's duplicated and put, you know, an underscore at the front. Not really sure what that's about, but as long as the game loads and works, I don't really care. Looks like it's going to work. Alright, Electronic Arts. Road Rash 3D. It's a fun one. That's what I don't miss about disc-based games is the loading times. Alright, we'll just get into a quick one real quick. I say that. Loading screen. There we go. The controls are. Okay, sweet. I guess accelerate. Brake. Oh, down punch. Getting a little squirrely. 16th place. That's good. This bike is all over the place. Definitely could use some analog sticks as opposed to the D-pad. Just gonna have to kind of change up the playing style. Oh, of course. There's the top. Oh, there they are. There. Let's stop them. Swing on the cops. Oh, I almost fail. Man, this bike is so loosey-goosey. I am so going to slide out. And I just speed bumped somebody. Sorry, lady. Alright, so we got some Sega Genesis emulation to test out. We got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighters. Go ahead with Leonardo. Older console emulation, it's not going to have any issue with this whatsoever. Where it does have some issues is PlayStation 1 emulation, but I've honestly been extremely surprised with how well it handles the majority of the PlayStation 1 titles I've tested. I'd say roughly so far 80% of the 30 or 40 PlayStation 1 games I've thrown at it have all played successfully, so that's kind of impressive for something so cheap and something that's portable. Very impressed. And, you know, I just got smoked, but let's go ahead and test out some of the Super Nintendo emulation. And for Super Nintendo, we're just going to play a little Knights of the Round, awesome little side-scrolling beat-em-up that I really enjoy from Capcom. Not particularly hard to emulate, but again, like I said, I'm just really just going through the motions and showing that everything does work. Nothing has shocked me whatsoever. Super Nintendo emulation, it plays Super Mario World fine. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, which is notoriously hard to emulate sometimes due to the Super FX chip, plays that game exceptionally well. So let's go ahead and beat up some bad guys. Just whacking and smacking. That's all you need to know. That's what I love about beat 'em ups. You don't need any explanation. Put the controller in somebody's hand and they will immediately figure out how to play it in 30 seconds or less. Very simple controls, very simple storyline. Just move to the right, smack the people that are trying to punch you in the face first. So now that we've got our initial testing out of the way, let's go ahead and talk pros and cons and find out if you should spend your hard-earned money on this unit. So the biggest con right out of the gate was the fact that the game titles for a lot of the consoles was listed in Chinese, and there was no settings or anything I could go to manipulate that would actually convert these over to English. Therefore, when I was trying to play things like Sega, Super Nintendo, Nintendo, I just had no idea what games I was selecting. The games were there and they played fine whenever I did select them, but I really had no idea what titles I was picking, and that was severely unfortunate and a big downfall in my opinion. Second biggest thing that I had a gripe about was the controls, and while yes, I know it's under $60, I shouldn't expect a whole lot, and it is comparable to the Neo Geo Mini, it's something where as powerful as this device is and it's got a lot of great games, you don't really want to play those games for a long time with the built-in joystick and the buttons on this unit. You're better suited for long gameplay sessions to use the gamepads. The gamepads themselves aren't the greatest, but they are more enjoyable as far as giving you a much more comfortable playing experience than the built-in joystick and buttons on the unit itself. And on a more positive note, the fact that this unit is priced under $60 with free shipping included, and it also comes with 3,000 built-in games, plus the functionality to add your own games, and it handles PlayStation 1 titles very well, well, I think that's a great bargain, even if you have to deal with the weird quirks of the games that came, at least 50% of them, being listed in Chinese. The fact that you can easily remedy that by putting in the SD card to your computer, removing the ROMs you don't want, adding your own ROMs, and really customizing this to suit your need, well, in my opinion, that makes this a pretty darn good value. Not to mention the fact that there's 2-player controller support, which is really handy. And lastly, the fact that this thing is portable. You don't have to have it plugged into a wall. It's got that rechargeable battery. You can take this on the go, and it really makes this a nice little convenient accessory and gaming retro console that I think is worth the $60 price tag. And that does it for today's video. Guys, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit that like button, share this video with your friends. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to know every time I upload more great content like this. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. It really means a lot.